welcome to another episode of Wine and Chisme. And today we are focusing on the wine. We have my guest today is Raquel Gomez, the owner of La Chancla Wine. Hi, Raquel. How are you?
Hola, Jessica. Good, good. Good to be here with you today.
I'm really excited. We connected through Instagram, and anytime I see a new up and coming Latina owned wine brand, I'm like on it. I'm like reaching out. Hey, would love to try your wine, want to get you on the podcast, let's get you on the directory, like all of those things. So I'm super excited. I'm going to read. I love reading people's bios back to them because they never really get to hear it. So I'm going to read your bio. We're going to talk about the wine. We're going to talk about your journey. So Raquel has 3 years experience in wine sales and strong administrative background. She's provided interpretation services at a law firm, sharpening her legal communication skills. And most recently, she collaborated on the development of a Latiné inspired wine label that celebrates the rich flavors, traditions, and heritage of Latin America. She's a dedicated special needs advocate committed to empowering families and promoting inclusion. And the wine in question is La Chancla Wines, which cracks me up. The name of La Chancla. Um, how are you? How are things going?
Good, good. It's been a really nice journey for me itself. And everything has been working along the way. Just it seems like things are moving faster than I we expected. At times it feels like it's slow, but then once things are moving, it's like, wow, we're here now. It's like this La Chancla was a talk that we had, me and my boss, maybe about over 2 years ago. And it was like, it felt like it was never going to get there. And then when it finally came, it was like, wow, it's moving so quickly. It's getting recognized by a lot of the community, which is very uncommon in our community for wine drinking. But it's been an awesome journey so far.
Yeah,
So
I
we're
mean,
just,
honestly, because of that, right? Because of so many of us don't grow up with wine. So many of us grow up thinking wine is bougie and this and that. That's honestly one of the reasons that I started doing what I was doing because I've been a wine lover. And I didn't really start learning more about wine until after I started the podcast. So I have a glass of your wine. Are you drinking your wine as well?
I had to pull my own out today too.
Yes.
Super
Okay.
chilled.
Yes. So I should have told my husband to put it in the fridge so it was super chilled, but I put some ice in it because you say and it's a red wine. So people might be like, red wine, cold, but you suggest this wine be particularly chilled. So salud.
Salud.
Oh my gosh, it tastes like sangria.
Yeah.
No wonder. Yeah, like legit. Like I've tasted some red wines that should be chilled.
Hmm.
Para Wines has a tomalo frío wine, and I'm like, oh, this would be good to make a sangria. But this is like tastes all right, like not quite as sweet, which I appreciate to be perfectly honest. But this tastes already like a sangria. All you need to do is just put some fruit in it, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
This is
absolutely.
really good.
That was the idea. We were trying to find something that was really gonna actually call the attention of palates from different type, than just sweet drinkers, but maybe a little bit drier with a little tannins in there.
Yeah.
But something that was fun, something you can add things to it, something that you can make it not your typical bougie type of wine, but it's more like a fun wine, right? So more that you can either add some tequila in there, you can add some fruit in there if you like, just make it your own. Like there's no such things in making rules with La Chancla. There is no
Yeah.
rules with La Chancla.
Well, I want to, if you are watching this on YouTube, I want to show the bottle. It's so cute. It's this um kind of funky wine glass with a fox holding flowers. And then on the top where the cork is, it's like all with flowers. So how did you come up with this design? Like where did this, because no most people would think you're gonna have a chancla on here. But you don't look at this and go, okay, so where did the design come from?
Well, I can't take credit for the design. Of course, this is where my boss, mine comes in, Kill Reddy. You know, Reddy's are the ones that produce La Chancla, have been the ones behind it. But also, we were able to contract a Latin design company that helped us design the label behind it. And the reason for that was because, like you said, my mind right away went for a chancla. And then it's like, yeah, but it's only going to attract certain people. We wanted to still keep some elegance behind it because it's still a wine. We still wanted to show like you can have a wine that's elegant, it still touches your roots without having to necessarily bring out perhaps those full memories of the chancla physically, but more of behind the chancla. What is it that caused the chancla? It was really not to be because it was something evil. It's more like traviesos,
I was about,
travesuras.
yeah, I was about to say putting a chancla could be something that, oh, that's so cool, but it could be cause some PTSD as well.
Yeah, or like it's an abusive matter. It's like, no, it wasn't like that. It was more like to just to correct you. It's like you saw the chancla and it just got you straightened back up.
Yeah.
So you knew it wasn't like they abused you with it. I know people take it out of context sometimes and it's hilarious, because everybody can connect with it, right? But we wanted to create something that was still keeping that elegance mode in it and really seeing it more as in like a correction mode. It's like something that you connect with in your background and you always remember it. And it goes for generations. It's not just ours, but even older and younger ones too. My
Yeah.
kids know what la chancla is. As soon as they hear it, they know what that is.
Well,
So
I
it,
want to kind of rewind a little bit, kind of
mhm.
start maybe not necessarily at the beginning, but I would love to hear because you're in Dallas. Were you raised in Dallas, born and raised in Dallas, or what area did you grow up in?
So I was born in Monclova, Coahuila. That's where I originally was born. My parents migrated into the States when I was about 4 years of age. So I was raised in the Luffield area in Dallas. My parents, they come from very, very strong working family, moved their way up. My dad started doing all kinds of jobs. Until about our teenage years, we moved over to Duncanville area, and that's where I finished being raised before I had my own family. So that's kind of where we were.
I have friends in Duncanville.
Oh, see,
I
so we're not
have.
that far.
No, no. And actually, when you're saying you grew up in the Love Field area, that's the last area that I lived in
Hmm.
before I moved back home to California. Because I'm originally from California. I'm originally a San Diego, county born and bred girl. But I lived in Dallas for 15 years.
Hmm.
So I'm very familiar with the area. It's been a
Well, it's
couple
very different.
years.
I don't know how you remember it because I drove my kids there the other day. We were driving by there and I told them, this is where I grew up. It's way different than when we were growing up.
Yeah,
They've kind of knocked down a lot of the houses that were there, and now they're building new, different type of like, I guess not sky rises, but it's more like maybe kind of like
like mid
ele-
rises.
yes, like mid rises, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
like, wow, it's changing. There's no Dairy Queens there anymore. There's none of the stuff that I remember growing up around with. It's all gone.
Yeah. So
And
I moved from Dallas about it's been about 7 years now. And the
okay.
last time I was back about 2 years ago.
Oh. Mhm.
So I still try and go back. In fact, one of my friends, it was his birthday the other day, and he's like, "Oh, when are you coming back to Dallas? When are you gonna visit Dallas?" I don't know if I'll get there this year, but I will be there for sure next year because uh my best friend who I convinced to move to Dallas moved and got married and has kids. So my niece is graduating from high school next year. So I'll be
Oh.
there for that because I gotta Thea J gotta show up, right? Thea J
Oh,
gotta show up.
absolutely. Yeah, it's
Um,
awesome.
like we are kind of stating already, so many of us didn't grow up with wine.
Hmm.
We a lot of stuff that was around was like beer and hard liquor, but not necessarily wine. Or if it was wine, maybe it was like one tia or one person who liked it. It just didn't feel like it was part of our vibe. And one of the beautiful things that I has really happened over the last 15, 20 years is a lot of Latina owned wine brands have come out. In fact,
Hmm.
now we have over 100 brands, Latina owned wine
Wow.
brands based in the US, and it's on our directory. La
Hmm.
Chancla will be one of those on there as well. But especially when it comes to when people think of wine, and even if they don't first of all necessarily think of Texas,
Hmm.
right? But then when they do think of it, they think more of the hill country, more of
Hmm.
in the Austin Hill Country area.
Hmm.
So I have just a couple like first, like
Hmm.
what was your introduction to wine, right? Because you don't just go, oh, I know nothing about wine to, oh, let me start my own brand overnight. So first, let me start there. What was your introduction into wine?
So in order for me to go into the introduction of wine, I have to kind of go back to how I ended up with the Reddy family. And that's kind of where it started. So I came in with them, helping them. My daughter works as their nanny. I started working with them in the house and then also helping with personal filing, paperwork, anything that had needed that was managing the household to starting to help in the business. And that's the very first time I got introduced to wines. And so
So wait, how old were you at that point?
I wasn't that far. It was 3 years ago. So that's when
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So
Wow.
Never before had a wine. Never before thought about wine. I rarely as it was drank, right? So I maybe if it was something, it would be like a margarita or, maybe even a sangria, maybe that would be the closest to wine that I've ever had, but not a straight wine. And it never grabbed my attention at that time, again, because of the way we were raised. I was raised around things like tequila and beers and
Yeah.
things that are typical to the Mexican household. A wine was not no such thing. That was just never talked about. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to help in the company, I got to familiarize myself with some of this wine at least. But I remember Akil telling me, you don't have to necessarily become a sommelier to know things about wine. He's like,
Right.
you just have to familiarize yourself with how good the wines are that you're trying and then go from there. Because I was now going to be part of like starting sales in the wine industry. So I'm just like, how am I going to sell wine if I to myself don't even drink the wine? So I got introduced to the rosé for the very first time was as a Tempranillo rosé. That was the very first wine
Oh,
I
that's
had.
a nice, very even rosé to start with, a Tempranillo rosé.
And then I had it. He says it is a dry Tempranillo rosé. He's like, but it's very fruit forward.
Oh,
So
I was
even
about
that
to say, was it smoky? Because a lot of times
they
Tempranillos
could
can
be
be a
smoky,
little
right?
smoky. Yeah.
Now this one was very fruit forward. It was very smooth drinking it. And I remember he said chill it really well. So I brought it home and I shared it with a friend. She herself had drank wine in the past. I mean, she loved it. She's like, I love it. And I just told her, I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's very refreshing. I was very shocked at the very first type of wine that I was trying. Then from there I'm like, okay, well, I need to familiarize myself with different kind of wines. Then I got to understand what varietals were because I didn't understand the language that they talked about. So varietals and understanding the varietals and the notes and all these things that go into making winemaking. And so when I started with that company, with them, I just started doing basic sales at the stores, like demonstrating. So I was opening bottles to demo the samples at the store and people trying them. So I would have to take that home so I can try them. And then this way I knew my husband himself has been in sales for over 20 years, right? And so I remember one thing he always shared with me was like, if you believe in the product, you can get other people to believe in it. And
Absolutely.
so I just kept that. And I was like, okay, I got to, if I believe it, I pick up what I like about these wines, then I can share that. And that's where it started from. I mean, I had Studi, which is Akil's wife, kind of show me the path, how it worked. We went from there. Then from there, it just started growing. I just started learning from scratch, pretty much, what it was to be in the industry of wine. But I think for me, I like being very observant and I like to watch everybody doing what they do. I got to see other people, demoing samples of tasting wines and what they would talk about. And I got to do some research on it. And then I also learned the part of the retail side, how they're bringing these wines in and then the distributor that we deal with. And I mean, there's so many parts of the business that I was just like, at first, I thought I was not going to be able to do it. I was like, it just seems like a lot. It was like so much going on. But I'm not obviously not a quitter either. I've done many things in my life where it's been the first time. Even working in the law firm was the very first time, doing that. But I picked up really fast. And so I got to see where the impacts need to be made and also the changes that are needed for people to really intake those cells. So I got to mold a lot of the way people were doing things, and I got to pick up where they were making mistakes too. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not the only one making mistakes. They are too, so it made me feel a little bit more like comfortable in that zone. And then from there we started growing. Since I met Akion's duty, he always talked about creating a Latino wine. He always wanted to have, he grew up around the Latino friends he had. He loves the music, he loves the food, and a lot of because they're Indian descendant. And so a lot of their culture is similar to ours. And so he always wanted it, to bring something out that he can give back in the land community. And also, most of his employees, I mean, 80% of his employees are all Latinos, right?
Yeah.
So something that
Which is
connected.
what you're going to find at most vineyards.
Exactly. See, it starts from the vineyards, and then being a family vineyard, they own their 100% estate, which means they grow their grapes, their winery processes and bottles it, and out it goes, right? And so it was a very unique type of winery that we were dealing with, or product that we were dealing with. And so when he told me the very first time, I remember he told me, and I was laughing, and I was like, wine. I was like, Mexico don't drink wine, And he's like, well, yeah, but we just gotta switch that,
Ay, mujer, you were running in the wrong crowds. My
Yeah.
crowds, we drink wine.
Well, I got to learn that in the sales, right? When I started doing festivals and stuff, the people that were approaching us were Latino backgrounds. We had people from Argentina, from Venezuela, from different areas that they love wine. And out of all the things, they like dry wine. And I was like, wow. I was like, there is a market for it. I just wasn't part of it. So
Yeah,
I
'cause
was
I was
like,
about to say, you know that some like the oldest winemaking area in North America is in Mexico.
mm-hmm. And now I learned that. See?
Yeah.
And I actually learned that from another person that does a lot of the influencer. There's an influencer that she went down to Mexico and she was interviewing. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize how big it was in Mexico.
Yeah.
Again, I guess I grew up on the wrong side of Mexico.
No, but see,
So,
that's honestly like when it comes to wine, you're never gonna know everything, right?
mhm,
Like, you could be doing it for years. You're always gonna be learning something. You're
learning.
always going
Hmm.
to like you're never gonna know everything there is about wine and about the regions. And like there's still sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of this varietal. Like I go places and I'm like, what? No, okay, yes, I need to try this. I've never heard of this varietal. And the beautiful thing about wine is it is so subjective that when people say, "Oh, I don't want," "Oh, I'm embarrassed of the wine." I'm like, the best wine is the wine that you like. Like, you don't need to take it from me. Like, I'm not a big, I've said this over and over, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing me say it, but it's true. I'm not a big New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc fan because it's very grapefruit forward, and I don't like grapefruit, and that's instantly all I can taste. But there's so many people that love it, or the grapefruit doesn't bother them, or maybe they love
Hmm.
grapefruit. So when I'm talking about wine, I try to be very conscious of not saying like, oh, you shouldn't buy this wine. It's more of this wine is not for me, but if you like these certain types of things, it might be worth a taste for you. You might like it, but the only way you're going to know is if you taste it, right? So I think we have to, be careful of the language because you do have a lot of influencers who are like, oh, this wine is trash, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? Not everybody has the same budget. Not
Right.
everybody has the same palate. Not
Hmm.
everybody has the same level of education. They just like what they like, and that's totally fine. Like
Hmm.
some people might pick this up and be like, well, that's weird. Why are you chilling this red wine or this or that? And I took it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I like sangria from time to time, but also sometimes I think it can be too sweet, right?
Hmm.
If it's not made right, and not all places, let's be real, make it right.
Hmm.
But this is like such a really beautiful way. Like, and even if you're somebody who is not a big wine drinker, this is a beautiful way to drink wine, chill it, put some fruit in it, whatever, and you have your own little sangria going on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is making sure that we're targeting the right palette, right? Because it is a Latino inspired wine, so we know the name is going to launch into that. But then again, then you're dealing with sweeter palates, right? And that was one big thing I remember sharing that with Kil. And I said, if we're going to do this, we're going to do something sweeter, but we don't want to do too sweet because the sweeter you get, unfortunately, now you're having to add things in there that we don't really want. And
Yeah.
that's one thing because Reddy is they focus on very clean wines. And so developing a out of their comfort zone type of wine, was a little bit of experiment, I think, for everyone. Our winemakers, even in the winery, I mean, we have all the Latinos working there because we have Roman Cueva as our winemaker, and then you have Veronica Velez, and you have Luis Munoz. So there's all Latin or Hispanos type of last names, and then so they're familiar. So it was awesome for them to be able to be a part of that and create something that's unique that represents some of where their background is from and also be able to put a little bit of their own taste into that. So it was a huge team effort. It was really awesome that we could be able to create something different. I know when we started talking about blends, we had multiple family members and friends trying different blends and trying to find what the right balance was to be able to make it. And even to the day, we take a lot of feedback from our clients that try it and people that are tasting it because that's the unique thing about being able to be a small company. You can make those changes and adapt to those changes in
Yeah.
comparison to the large industry companies, that.
Yeah, you can experiment a lot more easily. I
Mhm.
am so you're gonna need to walk me through this because literally 3 years ago, you're like getting your tiptoe into wine, you are
Mhm.
doing sales. How does it go from that to, hey, we're gonna launch this new brand? And they're tapping you for it, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not only it's one thing of them saying, you know what, let's work in conjunction with the Latino community to really showcase our appreciation and let somebody like, kind of take the helm of that, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
then they're like, oh, she's still just learning about, she's been around the industry for 3 years. First of all, I think that's so fucking awesome. Just so you know, I'm
Thank
not
you.
saying this in a bad way. I think that is so awesome. But a lot of people could be like, wait, how do you go from knowing nothing to now leading your own brand?
Yeah. Well, again, I was very appreciative, and when I was given that generous opportunity, I truly feel the Reddy family believed in me. They've seen what I could do with the Reddy brand, and then being able to expand it more than what it had when I came on board. And being behind me with that, with the wine, I finally said, okay, let's do it. I mean, let's do the brand. He's like, okay, and Akil's awesome. They're so generous. He's like, I'll make you partner in it. You can be a part of this brand. You gotta help me name it. And I'm like, the name came in place. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, we were going through so many names. And of course, I'm throwing things left and right to him. I remember this very distinctly because we're sitting in the kitchen in his kitchen in his house, and we're just talking back and forth. And of course, then he's like, well, remember, it has to be a name that's not taken, and it has to be a name that we can legitimately make it ours, right? And all these things. So I'm throwing names left and right. Nope, take it. Nope, taken. I'm like, oh, man, it's like he's like, stop overthinking it. He's like, don't think of a place or don't think of food. He's like, think of your childhood. Snapped, right? The childhood snapped. My daughter was in the room. I remember turning around, seeing her, and I'm like, Abby, we remember our childhood. Remember La Chancla, right? And someone boss is like, what's that? And I'm like, that's like the sandal that your mom used to take off and smack you around with it to get it together. And he's like, oh, we have that too. Like their culture
Oh,
has it
that's
too.
funny.
And then so he's like looking and we start putting up TikTok videos and how hilarious, that the people have been doing different videos. It was so funny. And so me and her are still tripping over this whole like TikTok videos we're watching. And he's just typing away like he always does. He's so concentrated in his stuff. And then he's like, well, it's available. The name's available. It's not taken. And I'm like, really? That is so funny. Like, so he's going away. And then next thing you know, he's like, all right, it's ours. And I'm like, what? He's like, the La Chancla brand name is Mars. He's like, I have to do a few paperwork with the attorney, but overall, it's ours. It could be ours. And I'm like, okay. It's like awesome. So I was giving that awesome opportunity, which I'll be grateful forever because, like you said, from someone not knowing anything about wines to have someone truly believe in me that can do that and can expand that brand. I was so thankful. I was blessed with that. And from there, we created La Chancla. The Chancla started, the team winery team got involved, and then we had the designing teams involved. And it's funny because we hired a few companies before we finalized on the design, and that was because everybody was kind of not getting what I was thinking of. I'm like, no, that's not, and then it kills like, no, that looks weird too, and then the chanclas, like people are gonna think like, evil stuff, or we even thought at some point like El Diablito, and I'm like, no, that's not it
You know
either.
what?
So
I was thinking like what could have been really cute is having like like similar to what you already have, right? The
uh-huh.
fox on the thing, but if you had a woman wearing chanclas.
Okay.
So you're
Yeah.
still bringing both of those in there, right?
Yeah.
That's my
So,
PR brain going.
so the fox, we thought about the Mexican fox, or the fox is mischievous, travieso.
Uh-huh.
And because it was like kind of like just a representation of perhaps growing up or childhood, and he's taking flowers like as a sorry or thank you for for what you've taught me. And that's why we were kind of like, when that design came through and Akil showed it to me, I'm like, that's it. That's it. Like that, I don't know, everything resonated with me, and with him as well. It kept the elegancy that he was looking for, but yet still told a story behind with the little fox. I'm like, this is something you can present to your mother, your grandmother, your tías, anybody, and they will love that bottle. I mean, and just seeing that is almost like a way of thanks for the type of discipline that you help me kind of hold myself
So the bottle
responsible.
is really for like when you're gifting it to somebody,
Yeah,
or when you're bringing it as like to a dinner or to some like it's really as a like kind of like the bottle with the flowers in it.
exactly. Yeah, it's all in
Okay.
one. It's like
Yeah.
you can bring it this to any occasion, and it doesn't have to be. Of course, we know there's a lot of occasions, there are special occasions to give, but I feel like this could have been a bottle that I can just show up after a bad day with my mom, after a bad day with my grandma, and it's like, making up with it. It's just like, here, let's get over this, and let's drink a bottle of wine or a glass of wine
Yeah.
and share it with them, and maybe share stories that kind of resonated with childhood, because that's what we do sometimes when we get together. We just talk about all the travesuras we did growing up, and that's hilarious, when we're sitting there talking about it. And then adding alcohol into the mix, I think that kind of helps you loosen it up too, the
Lubricates
situation.
you.
Exactly. And that's where La Chancla's name came to be. That's where it came to be. And I mean, my sister and my mom went with me this past weekend. We went for the first time to Fredericksburg, because the Reddies have a tasting room down there. They have one at Stonewall, Texas on the way to Fredericksburg. So we made our stop there, and they carry La Chancla too. The branding. And so my mom was just so over excited and so proud, like you said, like to see something that, I had a part in it, and that they can resonate with their culture and their background. And never thought that that would be something that would be in our lives, especially wine itself, right? But I really am. I think I feel like I was put in with this family for a reason, and I feel that they were put in my life for a reason. And so I feel really blessed with that. And so that, I think, resonates with my background and their background too. Very family oriented family. Their families, migrated to the States as well. That's how they started the vineyard, being farmers and stuff. And so their hardworking background resonated with my background in that area. And so I have high respects for that, for the family. And so I think that really bonded us a lot. And the family itself, I know the entire family, the family knows me. So they kind of made me part of their family. That's how I felt.
Oh, that's so lovely.
Yeah.
I no, that is really lovely because it you know, anything can happen with any of these brands and how people do it, but to have somebody who really believes in you. Wine break. Time to refill that glass and come back for more wine and cheese.
Mhm.
What were the things? Because obviously you don't know what you don't know. So how
Mhm.
involved were you with like the tasting of the wine, the development of the flavors, like because and how much of a partnership, like is it this a 50-50 partnership between you and Ready Vineyards, and how involved do you get to be in regards to like from how it was developed, the flavors, the notes, all of that, to it sounds like the packaging itself you were very involved in regards to the logo and stuff. But from the onset, how
Mhm.
involved were you able to be?
So I was involved in practically everything. I think that when it came to the notes and stuff, I wasn't a part of it because I didn't have the experience. So of course, it was more just expressing to them what I was looking for. I need something fruit forward. I need something that's sweeter in the palate, but not overly sweetened. Those kind of ideas that kind of would be the only thing I would share with them. But the winemaker team was a huge part of it. They're the ones that developed, what they thought was good or not. And of course, it kills involvement as well. Then the blends came back to me and the family and friends, and then we got to be able to pick the blend. So it was nice that we got that opportunity to be able to be. So at the end of the day, we were very involved in the final product. Just like the next brands are, I mean, the next wines for La Chancla. We're expanding that brand. So we already have other blends and they're already set. They're going to be bottled up hopefully towards, the midst or end of this year. So we already have more blends that are being a part of it, which we also took part of. The wine team has been very involved. And again, they're Latino, themselves. And so they're being able to give the feedback better because they're closer.
Right.
The winery is 5 hours away. So it's not, I'm not there, so they're having to put a lot of that, and they know more about it because they're more involved in the industry of wine. So they understand how that works, but still taking the feedback from me, from, the family, what we're looking for, the notes, now that I know notes now, like the white one, I'm like, hey, we need something tropical, something that, that actually resonates with us and things like that. Things I can add a little pineapple to, a little thing that can enjoy, and so those kind of feedbacks is what they're looking for. So that's the type of involvement I have. Akil extended me the invitation to this. I've never been that type of person to ask for things. Everything that I've ever accomplished in my life has been given to me, and I think it's because of the work that I put into it. And so when he asked me for partnership, of course, I won't share exactly the percentage because I feel that that's something that's kept between me and the family and them.
Mm.
But I can tell you that it's a very even type of partnership. And so that itself lets me feel comfortable to doing whatever I want with La Chancla. So he's kind of allowed me to do that, kind of
Yeah.
like taking ownership over it and feeling what I have to do for the branding, including social media, including whatever I feel that's needed for it to make it grow. He's kind of allowed me and put me on that. So I
Right.
kind of oversee that.
And I wasn't trying to be rude in
No, no.
regards to asking for percentages or anything.
Yeah.
You didn't, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that, but I think it's more of people really wanting to know, especially the audience that I have, that this is a Latina owned wine brand, right? But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the beautiful part of it is it's also like sometimes you can have that under like a white owned brand, but this is an
Mm-hmm.
Indian owned brand,
Mm-hmm.
that Ready Vineyards. It said, like you
Right.
said, it's an immigrant Indian family.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that when you're supporting La Chancla, you're supporting another, um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, another immigrant winemaker as well. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's so like that's just beautiful and that's kind of kismet, right? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
supporting our community and you're supporting other communities that need to be supported as well. So
Yeah.
I love how you're like, okay, this needs to be sweeter, that needs to be this, that like, but
Mm-hmm.
and that's how normal people who don't know wine are, right? So I think it was almost a really awesome thing that you didn't know those things while you're making it because you could just speak as a regular person without overthinking it in regards to like, okay, I like this, I don't like this. I like this. Okay, wait, maybe it's a little bit too sweet. Let's pull back on that. Oh wait, this is just way too dry. Like, so I don't want my mouth to pucker when I'm taking a drink. Like, just
Yeah.
normal instead of terms that somebody who's been embedded in that industry might use. You get to
Mm-hmm.
say it in a way that anybody else would say it, which means you can explain it in a way that people can, not that others can't say it in the ways people can understand, but you just still have this very plain way of being able to speak about it because you're still new to the industry, which I think is really awesome because people can probably really relate to how you're explaining it and the language that you're speaking because you are still relatively new to the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that resonates a lot with sales too, because people that are coming in for wine, especially first time buying, wine drinkers or coming by, you can tell. And when they start to ask, like, well, I want something that's sweet, but not too sweet. I'm like, so you want a semi-sweet? And they're like, I guess. And so I can resonate a lot more with that, audience. And also understanding, like you said a minute ago, is there's so many palettes, so many type of tastings. And this is why we have sweet wines and semi-sweets, and we have dry wines, and we have fruit forward wines, we have smoky wines, we have all kinds of different wines because there's so many varieties of palettes that we all have different. Some people like diet soda, some people don't like diet soda, some people like Coke, some people prefer something fruit forward. I mean, there's just so much for us to be able to expand into, or to be able to be adding, and that's kind of what helps me to resonate and understand. And the people that try it, some people are wine drinkers and some people are not wine drinkers, and so that helps me too, to kind of get the feedback too. It's like, okay, you know what, this is good for a wine drinker, but this, right, it's not quite fitting with the ones that don't drink wine. So if our audience is going to be this kind of people, then we have to make this type of wine. If we're focusing on this, there has to be a little bit of everything for everyone. And that's
Yeah.
kind of what we're going to be doing with La Chancla too. Eventually, La Chancla will also have their own dry wines. And so, because there's people that just enjoy it, to drink. And even my daughter, I was glad that I was actually in the wine industry when she started to drink. She's 23 now. And so she's learned to develop that palate towards more dry and understanding to the fruitness in the wines, and when it's a little more drier, a little more smokier, if it's a little bit more tanning, it's a little bit, so she's able to kind of even learn that too with me, as kind of like we work with each other and just kind of like see what is it that you don't like about it, what are you feeling in that, you're tasting in the notes. And so we get to get a lot of that feedback from people too out in the tastings, which is, that's what's made it unique too, that we've been able to kind of like be able to get feedback from actual people and not just wine drinkers. And
Yeah.
so we can attract more audience by being able to say, this is something that you can actually enjoy whether you like wine or not. You're really going to be able to just give it a try. And so when they try it, they're like, yeah, I can do that. It's not so bad, It's not as sweet, but it's not dry either. It's like it's passable. I can enjoy it. And like you said, hey, try add some strawberries in there, try to add some blueberries in there, try adding, and I told her, if you want more, just add a little tequila in there and then you're good to go. It's like, so they think that's hilarious. And that resonates sales too, because now you're helping them to see they can develop something different and unique from that wine, that they can take home with them. So it's just a lot of, it's just getting to learn, like your audience. But I feel that everyone deserves to have a little bit of what they like, like, and
Mhm.
without being judged about it, without feeling judged, like, oh, I can't show up with the glass of this because my friends are going to think it's too sweet. It's like,
This is definitely like a brunch. This is a perfect brunch wine.
mhm,
Like it truly is. One of the things when in my relationships with these vintners and talking is oftentimes when traditional winemakers don't often think of our palates when it comes
mhm,
to wine.
mhm,
And I think one of the beautiful things about Latino wine brands is they do, right?
mhm,
So we've created a tamales and wine guide. We've created a pozole and wine guide. I guess we need to do a tacos one, soon. But
mhm.
we've talked about ways to pair wines, and oftentimes like what you can pair with enchiladas and what you can pair with ceviche, what you can pair like with mole,
Mole, mhm.
and uh and oftentimes, like I said, these are not flavor profiles that traditional winemakers do. Was that something that was cognizant in your thought process when making this, or was it just more about like enjoying a glass of wine on its own on a hot day, or like what was the thought process in regards to the flavor profile for La Chancla?
We definitely wanted to target typical food that we ate with it. So we knew, of course, there's some food even in the Mexican household that would not quite go with our red wine, right? But I wanted to see if there was something that we can definitely typically drink, right? That would resonate more like with our daily food. Something that we always came home to. My mom always had some sort of guisos and with beans and rice. And so I was like, a red wine would go perfect with that, like definitely if we can do a sweeter palate, because on your typical table, most likely there's a Coke, there's not going to be a specific type of alcohol, so I'm like, something sweet be good, but not overly sweet neither. And so, yeah, that was something that I know that there was input into it, and I know that the wine team made sure that they were trying to think of like the foods that it would really blend with when they were thinking of the notes, and they were thinking of what was going to be part of like how sweet itself was going to be, because we didn't want to we also wanted to keep it a very clean level, so we're like, okay, we can produce something that's clean and sweet without overly sweetening it, without over adding anything that is unnecessary. Also thinking of like those nasty headaches people get the next day is one big thing for Reddy. And so we wanted to keep that for La Chancla, because we're like, that's one thing that a lot of people resonate to, and they get sick the next day because of all the alcohol mixes that they're doing,
Mhm.
and they're not feeling well. So doing that is able to give them, and I can tell you, we've tried it. I've had a few, my sisters and friends tried it. Let's drink this nothing but la chancla and see how we feel the next day. And everybody wakes up like, girl, I was able to get up and go to work, and I'm good. So we tested it in
Hey,
different
that's a
areas.
good test. That's a good way to test. Oh, shucks. I have to drink La Chancla all day today. Oh,
Well,
shucks. This is
again,
good.
because we're marketing some of this, right? Like marketing that it's clean wine, but is it really clean? I mean, you have to test it yourself. Is it really? And so we've learned, and my sister, and this is with all Ready brands too, not just La Chancla, but we've tested them like in different areas, and we're like, of course, we don't sit there and drink every day, right? But it's something that we'll pull up every other week and be like, hey, I'm going to try this wine today and see how I feel the next day. And sure enough, it's been the same results every time, and versus what we've tried in the past. What we've had, I know that when we've had like margaritas with tequila, or or you have straight shots of vodkas or this type of things, you wake up and your head is just like froggy and you're just not feeling good, and it's like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of it is the amount too, right? But
I
we've
I
tried.
could, I could have a bottle of wine by myself and feel totally fine.
Yeah, see, and so
I've done it multiple occasions.
and so a lot of them, see, it's just understanding those areas, right? And so, but yeah, we definitely, the food had a lot to do with what we wanted to put in the palate, to make sure that it was with the everyday type of household food,
So what are the
tamales.
types of things that because there was a couple of things that I instantly thought, ooh, this would be good with this. What are the things that you think? And then I'll kind of share if that doesn't come up, I'll share the things that I was like, oh, I think this would go good well. What are a couple of those things?
So I think I had emailed you. I don't know if you got that when we had, because I tried it with some food. I don't know if you ever got. I'm not sure. It was a while
I
back.
maybe I yeah, maybe I
Okay.
did and I just
And I think,
may have
I know
forgot.
we did for sure. I was thinking the tamales de puerco, like pork type of tamales, were
Oh,
good.
yes. Yeah.
And then I was like, even with reposole, we tried it with reposole. It was pretty good. Um, I didn't try the green one because at that time my mom had made reposole, so we tried it with the
Yeah.
reposole. It was pretty good with the reposole. It was very nice the way it actually blended together. And I was like, okay, this is good. And then we also tried it with guisos. And again, like my mom does, she does like chile colorado type of guisos, and she made it with beef type of meat, and that one really really well with tortillas and stuff, and it worked out really well for us. Those are just some of the basic things that we tried it with. I know that I've tried it with some sweet stuff too. I've tried it with some more like milk chocolate with nuts has been seen something good. I tried it with the dark, and somehow that just threw me off. Like the dark chocolate kind of threw me off. I don't know if it was on the notes or something, but when I tried,
You're gonna need a stronger wine than this to go with the
yes,
dark chocolate. And
yeah.
I don't like chocolate, but I definitely because of the bitterness,
Mm-hmm.
way
Mm-hmm.
too mild of a wine to go with to go with the dark chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we've tried, of course, with basic Gorda cheese, other stuff that's not Mexican food that we can still test it with, and it's pretty good. But in the
Mhm.
Mexican itself, when we've done our foods, that's been one of the most basic. Enchiladas has been another one. I've tried it with the red enchiladas. I haven't tried it with like green enchiladas or
I
any
think
other
a lot
kind.
of the red sauces. So the things I was thinking was like birria tacos, like anything
Hmm.
birria, I think it would go with. Actually, I think this would go really good with lengua tacos.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Like
agree.
so, yeah, I think this would go really good. Like instantly, I was like, "Ooh, I bet you lengua tacos would go really good with this."
Yeah,
And I'm
absolutely. I
full.
agree.
I just had lunch before I got on with you, but that does sound good.
It does. It really
You know,
does.
you have to be a mat. Like, not every place can make good lengua tacos, but when you find a place that makes good lengua tacos, oh,
Yep.
so good.
And I think anything spicy would go good with it because I know when we had like the tamales, I had a really spicy salsa and it
Hmm.
was so good with it. I think it complemented some of that sweetness in it, that it
Yeah,
helped with the
chorizo. Like
spicy.
if you're gonna have like chorizo and eggs, we're heavy on the chorizo.
Hmm.
This would be really good with that as well. Like
Yeah,
the
I agree.
spiciness
I
of
think
the
so.
Actually, this would taste really good with like Spanish chorizo, I bet you.
Oh, it's a lot more spicy.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
a little bit more spicy. That just, yeah. No, I love it. I love it. I think that's awesome. What kind of other wines? I know you said you guys are working on some additional wines. What type of wines are you guys working on to hopefully be bottled by the end of the year?
So we have the Blanco version, which is going to be the white version of La Chancla. So it's going to be a white blend. And then we're also working on other red wines, with a little bit of funness into it, like notes, different type of notes we're going to add to it, or trying different without giving a lot of my winemaker tips. But we've resonated some other drinks that we're thinking of, like even the Blanco, maybe notes of margarita, right? Or notes of things that we can resonate with in our palate, in the land community, to be able to mix it with some different varietals of white wine itself for that one. And then the red one too. We're looking at what we already have some blends working in the make right now, and I think we've narrowed it down. But sometimes a winemaker, what he does too, and I think that's awesome. He doesn't tell me what's in them. He wants me to try them and give him my honest opinion, because he says this is why I'm not biased with it. He's like, you don't resonate because of what's in it. I want you to tell me what you like from it. And I was like, okay, that's awesome, because I'm like, like this one, but that one seemed a little bit more like on the acidity side. And oh yeah, well that has some lime in it, or has like, okay, then he'll tell me what's in them. But
Yeah.
then I'm like, yeah, I didn't quite like that. I don't know what it was. It just didn't. But I still let other people try it, because again, my palate might be different than others, right? And then we narrow it down. Like we tested with like hundreds of people, and then we kind of get like a little feedback from everybody, and what actually resonated better. And then also some of the younger and then older, has a lot to do with it. Some younger people
Yeah.
might be into certain type of notes, and the older ones are looking for different kind of notes. So all that feedback helps into making that blend. So it's a very unique type of blends, and I think even in the market there is nothing like it. I think that there is a lot of brands that are out there, and I think the fact that we are able to be hands on, like as in Latinos involved into that wine, is really helping to narrow down the right wine for the Latino community. And so we take a big, proud, we have pride over that, be able to say like, yeah, that's something that actually goes with what we're eating and goes with what we're having, and be able to come up with a wine that resonates with a lot of people, not just young people, but also middle class or older people too. So,
No, I think that that's you have to do that. You have to do the test. And you know what? Honestly, you have to take the chance, because if you don't take the chance, then you'll never know. So the fact that you're taking this chance is a really huge deal. Obviously, right now, this is the only varietal.
mhm.
Is there some sort of wine club? Is there some sort of, or is that something you guys are working towards? Because you still are very, very new.
Right. Yeah. La Chancla branding itself is very new. But even then, we've been able to bring it into many, many places that never had the opportunity to start so soon. But again, I do owe it to Reddy opening the door to them, because Reddy's already into these places. So La Chancla has made his way in easier because of them. And then, but now they even getting people that just resonate with the name. They're like, they think it's so funny. They're like, we want to bring this wine in and have it try it out just from the name itself. And then it's gonna, touch different people that they're not used to buying wine from them. Now you have Latinos looking at wine because they resonate with something that caused them from their
Right.
background and their childhood.
You need to get
So
into La Calle 12. That's one of my
yeah,
favorites. I love Calle 12.
I made an appointment with them, but we're still waiting to hear. There's only one. I think the niece of the owner that was there because we go to Cayelos a lot, and I was telling her I emailed your niece and I have her back. So she's like, okay, okay, I'll get you. So I think what I'm gonna do next time, I think I'm just gonna bring her straight a bottle and just give it to her as the owner, and then have her kind of like share that with her because it's a
Yeah.
lot of, and that's where a lot of people don't quite understand. Now understand on the sales side how hard and challenging it is to get a wine into any restaurant, a hotel,
So
and all that.
challenging.
But it's possible. It's just that, now I'm thinking to myself, all these Mexican restaurants need to start picking up because they have all these wines, right? That they're having to mix into drinks because people are not drinking them. Well, what about a glass that you can already just pour it straight out? You don't
Yeah.
have to mix it and stuff. But yeah, La Calle Dos is one in the maps that we definitely want to bring into. We have a lot of chains that we're working on too, like stores, markets. Like we would love to be able to come into Fiesta or to like Rio Rancho, those kind of stores, right? Chains that would really do well. I think that the once the land community actually gets educated behind it during our demo tastings and stuff, where we're at the store talking to them, I think they can really get an opportunity to see that there is something aside from what they typically drink, that they can actually take home and enjoy, and it resonates with them too. So those are all on the works right now. La Chancla has made it up to the Cowboy Stadium, so it's in the Cowboy Stadium in the suites
Really?
levels.
At AT&T Stadium or at their practice facility?
No, at the AT&T Stadium, but it's in the suites level. So all the events up top that get the suites, it's on their
Girl,
menu.
congratulations.
Thanks.
That's huge. That is
Yep.
huge. That's so big. Um, Obviously a lot of amazing things have happened,
Mhm.
but also failure is part of success. So during this process, what has been like it may have been a failure, but really pushed you forward. Something that maybe helped make you fail forward, or something where you're like, I'm quitting. I can't do this. Like any of those moments.
Uh, yes, but more when I first started. Um, there was a moment, because being in charge of sales is it's a big challenge itself. You have to have the right personality. You have to be able to resonate and build relationships. And like I said before, that's when I first start, you know, and not necessarily for La Chanclas. I think La Chancla was already like, I got this, I can do this. I've already seen all the failures I've done with Reddy, and so now I've been able to work on that, right? And so, but I remember there was a time that I'm like, I don't think I'm up for this. And the reason why, and now that we're talking about the fact that it's Latina, me being a Latina and a woman walking into that industry is like, there's mainly men doing that type of work.
Well,
It's mainly,
and the thing is, on top of that, especially in Texas, where
mhm,
it's wine is not like super. I mean, I'm in California, so wine's everywhere all the time. There's so many wineries, there's so many vineyards, but in Texas, yes, there are many, but not like here. So I feel like it's an additional hurdle that you have to
mhm,
jump over.
yeah. And so at that point right there, when I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I've gone in, like, we're in these stores and I just can't get the product to grow anymore. But I also always noticed like how people were bringing pallets in at times, like boxes of, I'm like, how do they get all these pallets, to come in, right? And they have a display. And I'm like, why can't I get a display? Why can't we get a display? I was like, I don't think I'll ever be able to get a display. And that's when I met one of the buyers or general managers in Central Market in Fort Worth, and his name was Glenn. He's retired now, but he was like, he was such a big cheer for me. And I remember expressing that to him one time, and I'm like, Glenn, I don't understand like how these people get these pallets in here, and I'm like, I would like to be able to see ours be able to have that one day, and of course this is just Ready back then. And then he says to me, Raquel, you don't have to stress so much about that. the time will come when it comes. You just got to keep pushing forward. You believe in this product. You've done such an amazing job. I'm rooting for you. You can do this. And I'm like, okay. The following week after we had that conversation, I remember coming in to do a tasting, and I had taken by then I had already created a team of employees that were helping me with the tastings. And in forward, I don't know if you've ever been to that central market, but it's like an HEB style, because they're HEB too,
Yes,
but
it's
their HEB is
huge.
huge, right? So there's so much traffic coming through. So I'm like, I needed help. So I had Veronica came with me that day, one of my sales team here in Dallas, and she was with me, and we were there presenting. And at that time, I didn't realize who these people were, but apparently we had the general manager there, one of the catering, I think, director that was there too, and then Glenn was there too. And they were all sitting there, they're watching us. And so, of course, I can see them talking and looking at us. And I remember telling Veronica, smile because they're looking at us. She's like, we are. And so, but one thing that I remember Glenn always said he liked about me was my hospitality. I was very outgoing with people, whether I introduced a wine or not. I was just talking to people, just talking to them, and
Right.
have a good day and enjoy your shopping and all these things that he just really, I never thought about it. Naturally was doing it, and he really thought about it. And he's like, I really like that about you. And so I guess when they were over there talking about that, they were observing us doing that. And so I've trained the team to be the same way. I'm like, you guys, you talk to everybody like you've known them forever. Like you just approach them and say hello, and And so we're talking to people, and all of a sudden he calls me over. So I go over there. He says, Raquel, we're getting ready to do the 30th year anniversary for Central Markets, like a birthday for their Central Market. He's like, and we're looking for a winery that can represent Texas during our 30-year anniversary. And he's like, and we feel that you're the great fit for it. And then I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. So we have been invited to be the exclusive winery pouring at the 30th anniversary, where the owner, where Mr. Bub was going to be there, and his guests, like VIP guests for dinner, and we were going to be the ones pouring the wine for them. And I was like, awesome. That was my break. And then because of that, they brought in a pallet full of our wines, and they had it in display, and they had all these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, it just happened. That's when I realized I got this. I can actually do this. I'm like, and so that from there is what really got me
Raquel,
going.
that is, I'm just like, I'm sitting here with my jaw on the floor because that is not, no, I need you to know everything that you have done is not only is it not normal, right? But it's awesome. But you've been doing this for 3 years.
Mm-hmm. At
Like,
that time, it was about a year and almost a year and a half. So it was like,
wow. I'm
yeah.
just like flabbergasted in the best way possible because
Thank you. I
that just
appreciate
means
it.
everything was aligned for you for this opportunity.
Hmm.
And I think that there's so many people out there who are like, oh my gosh, that happened so fast. And not to say that there was already work obviously being done.
Right.
Maybe not in wine, maybe not in spirits, but you have obviously been working on your spirit, on your life, on the things that you can bring. So it's just the universe's way of paying it back to you. And I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We come from a family of, like I said, hardworking family. And I saw my parents always digging into whatever opportunity was given to them. If it was cleaning offices at night, if it was setting up the floors in downtown in the middle of the night, if it was whatever it was that was giving, I always saw my parents be that way. And so that I think resonated with me. And this is why I think I'm such a hustler. And that's why, to me, it's like if an opportunity is open for you, I feel there's a reason for it. And I feel it's because it's not given just to anybody. It has to be someone that truly believes in you and sees the work behind it. And to me, it's like when I give my full to the company, it's like I give my 100 to them. It's like
Yeah.
I expect nothing less because I hold myself accountable, and then that helps me to see that it pays off in the long run. It takes, sometimes it can take time, but it pays off in the long run. And like you said, now seeing it that way, I never seen how short of a time frame it was that we were able to develop all these things. But it's just been the hard work and the support from the Reddy family itself for me that has been big. Because of course, financially, I could never have been able to do this myself, right?
Yeah.
So being able to have them as a huge support for me, and me being able to do the work that I can. To be allowed to given this, opportunity has been really a huge blessing for me, and I have nothing but to make everybody proud for what giving me the opportunity. I don't want to fail, so in other words, it helps me push harder every time to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can't believe it's already like we're already wrapping up. But I before I give the website, give all the things, if there's anything else that you want to share that we didn't touch on when it comes to your wines, I'm almost done with my glass. And I will say, like on the nose, it's very light. Like you don't smell the alcohol. You don't smell it really just smells like it's like not quite a sangria. Like I think
Hmm.
you smell the sweetness in a sangria, so that's something you don't smell. But it is
Yeah,
very, very light on the nose.
yeah,
Um,
it is.
yeah. So
And
I want
we age at 18 to 11, about 11, 18 to 8, 11 to 18 months aged.
what do you
So,
age it in? What type of barrel?
oh,
Like French oak, new oak?
that I don't know. That's a
Okay.
winery question.
Okay.
I'll be honest. I'm not gonna make something up if I don't know.
No,
Uh,
that's good. As you should, like as you should be. Okay, but I want to make sure if there's anything else that you want to share that you get the opportunity to do so. So the floor is yours.
yeah, just I think appreciating the team that I work with. um I think for me has been big because there's no way any product can be done with one person behind it. It's huge behind it, a huge team, starting from obviously the Reddy family, but also with our vineyard team. Alejandro doing such a good job with that team and making sure that the vineyard is well taken care of, as well as our winery teams. I've named them in the past, and I think that having them and then all of our sales team too that has helped up to continue to develop La Chancla and make it big and known to people, down to our tasting room team as well. I think all of it has been a part of why La Chancla is where it's at now. And we plan to continue to make it, expand bigger. And we're hoping for the Latino community to keep supporting us in that area. So that we can continue to grow and resonate something that resonates and it makes everybody proud. So we're hoping that if they feel comfortable always emailing us anything that they think that we can change into our wines, they're welcome to. We love to hear feedbacks from everyone. Obviously getting reviews for the wine as well, and also just remembering that we have really good deals online for them to buy, and it's shipped all around USA.
Yes. So that the other thing I was gonna say is this is a very affordable wine as well.
Mm-hmm.
15.99 for a bottle. If you can get a 3-pack, 6-pack, 12-pack. I mean, if you got a 3-pack of this wine, it's 33.58 right now. It's on sale.
On
So
sale. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Also, and Raquel, please forgive me for this because I had so many things happening that I didn't give this code out. But if you're a Wine and Chisme listener, we do have a discount code for you, which is Chisme, the number one on the number one. And I'll make
Uh-huh.
sure to put that in the show notes as well. Like, so mi gente, you know how much I love supporting our Latiné owned wine brands based here in the US. You know how much I want to make sure that you are aware that we not only work the land, we own the brands. And here is one for you. So make sure to go on it. I'm going to make sure that the website is on there, discount codes on there, Raquel's information, La Chancla Wines information, like everything is on there because you have no business not getting this wine or gifting this wine, especially when it's something as even if you're not somebody who is normally a wine drinker, this is a very mellow wine. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very mellow wine, good for summertime. Like I said, you chill it. It's not going to be overly sweet, but it's not too tannic. It's not too dry. It is just something, like I said, you can turn it into it's basically sangria in a bottle, but not but better, I think, because it's not
Mm-hmm.
this.
And yep, absolutely. And you can drink the whole bottle and you'll be fine the next day. You can get up and go
There
to
you
work.
go. There you go. Raquel,
Uh,
thank you so much. I love hearing about this story of how you got into wine and now, having La Chancla wine and all of the things. So I am really excited. I can't wait. Next time I'm in Dallas, I will definitely reach out to you. We'll have to make sure we keep in touch regardless. But next time I'm in Dallas, we'll have to reach out. And I can't wait for your new wines to come out. I'm expecting some
yes,
to try
you'll be
some of
one of
those
my
new
first ones
wines.
to get it. Trust me. We'll get it so you can try it out and let me know what you think of it. We would love to get that feedback review on it. We're just gonna keep pushing it, but definitely you'll be one. I appreciate you, Jessica, for allowing me this opportunity to and be able to use your platform too to be able to display La Chancla and get the brand known too. So we appreciate
Oh, I'm so happy to be able to do it. And until next time, mi gente.
it. Adios.
Hola, mi gente. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Wine and Chisme podcast. If you would like to hear more wine and more chisme, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Saludos.